Hello and welcome in, everybody, to the Live Life Better Money series, empowered by Ultra. We are where we tackle important financial topics, and today a very, very important one, and that is talking about owning a home. Now, whether you're looking at buying a home for the first time, or possibly looking at moving, or things associated with the home, the whole process, it can be a lot. It can be complicated. But to really help us understand the origination of the loan, the life of the loan, and then what happens after the loan, we've got some experts here to answer those questions and to simplify all of this. And we're fortunate enough to be joined by Chris Yount. He is a real estate post-closer too here at Ultra. So what happens after the mortgage? And then Alan Pruitt is our mortgage originator over at our Losey office, which is undergoing massive transformation and remodeling here. So thank you so much, both of you, for being here today.
Thanks for having us. Yep,
Excellent.
thanks for having us, Tony.
Rock on, croutons. Well, we're going to start here with you, Alan, talking about the origination of a mortgage. So fill us in a little bit about Ultra's loan programs and kind of the process of getting started, or a mortgage being originated.
Yeah, so sure, happy to do that. So we have at Ultra, we have a wide suite of things that fall under the umbrella of residential lending. Anything from helping you buy land, construction loans to help you build your dream home on that land, and then a nice mixture of government and conventional loans if you want to buy an existing home and find something out on the market, go house to house with a realtor and see what's out there. A wide range of options that in conversation we kind of figure out which route we're going to go, and we'll get into more of like how that conversation goes and what kind of information we're kind of looking for to help guide that. But that I look at my role as kind of like the guide to help you get where you want to go, answer questions along the way, and just help you stay on the path that you want to be on.
Very good. Yes, you and all of our originators here to help, to answer questions, and to really explore all of those different options and really find something that's going to work for you. Excellent. And one of those things, when it comes to starting off and to get this whole thing going, it's that down payment and trying to come up with that and ways to do that. And we talk about it in other podcasts, kind of how to save up and how to do some of that. And you can see all that at ultra.org, some of those resources. But wanted to ask you, Alan, about some of the options that people may have when it comes to a down payment on a home loan or on a mortgage.
Yeah, that's a great question. It's one of the most important things of starting the process is having some amount of money available. When I have people in my office, we get around to talking about money. I like to actually think of, instead of thinking of down payment, I like to think of the total amount of money that you need at closing. And I usually describe it as needing to cover like three buckets. One is down payment, which is, you're buying a $200,000 house and you want to put $10,000 down, then, we're thinking $190,000 loan. Most people, like, that's an easy concept. And then we have bucket two, which is your closing costs, which those can basically be called like the fees that are associated with your loan. You're going to pay Ultra to do the loan, you pay the title company to close it, you pay the appraiser to go find out the value, and then miscellaneous, smaller fees associated with everything that's part of that process. And then the final bucket, I like to call it, like, this is your prepaid items. So 1 year of homeowners insurance is required to be paid at closing. That's effective the day that you're closing for that first year. And then if you're going to have an escrow account for your taxes and insurance, we're also going to have money go in for that to start it, so that once you start making payments, you've got enough in there so that we pay your taxes and insurance in full when they're due. So I think of that big number, and then I'll help people break it up into how we use all that money. But that's kind of the way that I go. And as far as what are your options for saving for down payment? There, generally speaking, the amount of time that it is from now to when you want to buy will help answer some of that. Let's assume that it's within a year or so. The first thing I would say is, if you want to save your money in something, put it in something that has zero risk. There is no investing for this. This short term, whatever you put in, you need all of that back. And we have a great product that helps with that. It's our first time home buyer certificate. You can open a certificate with $1,000, and then you can add to this as often as you want, up to, I want to say 25,000, but we'll need to fact check me on that just to make sure. And you can add to that, pays you a rate, and you can actually close that certificate at any point if we're doing a mortgage. So, you start saving money there. It just gives you a nice vehicle to put away with, again, there's no risk. Actually earn a little bit of interest on there to help increase the amount that you have for cash to close. A good option that we have there. But save that money, build that pile as big as you can, and then we'll talk about how to use it.
Absolutely. And I like that you're breaking it down and making this a little bit easier, better to digest, and, making that dream part possibly of, owning a home or moving or, something bigger and better, who knows, making that a reality, and here to help with that. And talking about reality, market conditions, interest rates have risen in the last couple of years with this. Curious how things are now and where possibly things could be going in the future, Alan.
Sure. I think it's very important that we clearly define, like, the things that we know from things that could be.
Sure.
And what we know right now, I could tell you what a rate is. When someone's in my office, I can't even tell you what it would be a few hours from there. We
Sure.
operate in a live environment similar to the stock market. Prices of stocks change throughout the day. So what we know, like you mentioned it, Tony, rates in 2020, 2021, and the first few months of 2022 were historically all-time lows. It was a great time for interest rates. They rapidly rose after that. And I think the pace at which they rose is what added the biggest shock to home buyers or refinancers or things like that, because they went from that low up to around that 7% range, even north of 7% for a while, within a couple of months. And that was quite a shock that really froze people in place. And so that took a while to deal with. Now we're about 2.5 years into that rate environment. So we kind of have an idea of what rates are now. So as we talk about the market conditions, interest rates is certainly part of that equation. But I always like to think of, an interest rate, while important, that can be temporary. You can, if you buy a home at 7% or whatever that rate is, the hope is that at some point in the future, rates come down to a point where maybe it's attractive to reach out to your originator and just check in and see where rates are. And then, I'd help guide through, here's what it would look like to refinance, here's where rates are, and kind of talk about that. So we know rates can be temporary. But the other part of the market are home prices. That's the thing that we can't answer with certainty. So then we just zoom out and we think, okay, here's where we start talking about, well, what's most likely to happen? If you buy a house today, I can't tell you what your rate would be in 5 years, whether it'd be worth it to refinance. But if I'm making an educated guess, your home will be worth more in 5 years. So if for people that have trepidation about, interest rates and things like that, I get it. Like that's a real part of budget. I'm a huge budget nerd, so I know that it really impacts what you can afford. But if we look at the other part, if you're ready to buy now, if you have that rate now, in 5 years, the rate may be better, or in 3 years or 8 years, whatever that number is, I don't know. But if you wait to buy the house, the likelihood is the house is more expensive in 5 years. And so those are kind of the two biggest parts of the conversation about market conditions that, I just answer what I can and then make my best guesses about what the future will hold.
Yeah, that's a really good point. It'd be great if we all had a crystal ball and we just know exactly what's going to happen in the future. But we don't. But like you said, counting on the things that more than likely that are going to happen. And
Yeah.
And we've experienced like record low interest rates in the past, and we are nowhere near record highs right now either
No,
when it
no, no,
comes
no.
to interest rates. Historically
Yep.
here as well. So, and Alan, you mentioned a little bit about closing and things like that. If you could tell us in general what people can expect when it comes to closing and kind of that timeline with everything that happens when it comes to a mortgage.
Sure. So again, I'll use the most often. There are exceptions to this, but I'd say from the time an accepted offer gets to me, usually via email or someone dropping it off, the amount of time from you getting your offer accepted to closing is typically 30 to 45 days. And that it sounds simultaneously, it sounds like a lot of time and not a lot of time. It is enough time to get everything done. That's what's standard in our industry. So we're used to that time frame. But it also, again, then that's when we start going through, okay, here's when I have the offer, here's your closing date. And we just write out a map of here's what I need you to do by this point. And that the better communication that we have with borrowers and realtors and everybody that's involved, title companies, we just all want to be on the same page because we all have the same goal. We want to get to closing with no hiccups and just get everything done on time to make it smooth. Because I'll tell you, being at closings with people when they're buying a house, Tony, when you open this, you mentioned like how overwhelming a process this can be. And I really do my best to try to remember that with everybody that I work with, because I do it every day. So it almost, it's the same for me. But for everybody that I'm working with, they don't do it every day. It may be their first time ever, or maybe they bought a house 10, 15 years ago. It's like, remember what this process is like. And it can be scary. And I like to, especially with first timers. First timers are probably my favorite people to work with because I want to make sure that they get a lot of good information at one point, because we all know that you could go to the internet and find all kinds of answers. So I like to sift through what garbage people have in their head. And then also I want to be able to congratulate people for going out and finding information and really when they get to me, when they're prepared, like it's really great. Then we can dive into some of the fine details that like I like to go into and stuff like that. So 30 to 45 days to get everything done. It's pretty standard.
Excellent. And you've got help, all throughout the way. Everybody, at Ultra is here to help and guide you through that process as well. So, talking about that's the loan, that's the closing, the origination, the closing, all the steps that happen in between. A lot of people working together in order to make that happen. And Chris, I wanted to ask you about what happens after, the closing, after the loan. And what makes what we do with our loans unique among other financial institutions.
Yep, absolutely, Tony. Alan brings up doing the loan, it's about 30 to 45 days. But you got a 30-year term on your mortgage. You got 30 years worth of we're servicing your loan. You got your property taxes, your homeowner's insurance. Who knows? Act of God and nature comes and hail damages your roof. We're here to help you make that process easier, help you with your payments when things change. And Alan, you brought up a good point with the low rates, the market changes. Guess what? Low rates, the prices of properties went up. And unfortunately, municipalities, counties, they're now assessing and putting new values on your property, and they want their chunk of the change too with your property taxes. So we got a lot of things that change, and we can only go off of the numbers that we got. So you get that assessment bill, your property taxes are changing, your value is changing. We want you to reach out to us. We want you to talk to us and help you get through that process, because me as a loan servicer, I want to help you with your payment to keep it low now, instead of come escrow analysis having that call wondering why your payment went up $500-600. Let's make the change now so we're prepared and there's no shock and analysis time with those things. And we're willing to make the changes and adjust payments to make it work for you.
Absolutely. And Chris, I know you've got a whole team as well that are, again, more than willing to help our members, with all of this. And like you said, not have those surprises. And you get your loan from Ultra, you're continuing to work with Ultra all the way through, like you mentioned. This could be a 15, 20, 30, year relationship, really. And we want to be there for our members. So you mentioned, if taxes and things like that may go up on a property. Are there any other times when, a borrower should contact Ultra when it comes to their mortgage?
Yeah, a bunch of times. You get hail damage. You got roof damage. More than likely, we're going to be involved because we're a part of that insurance claim, and we help distribute the money, help you through that process, pay the contractors. We're there to help you go through a pretty tough time that may have damaged your house that you just bought. And if it's your first time owning a home, it's pretty scary when you got, a big damage to your house and you're scared. Just pick up the phone, call us, and we're going to help you. Another thing, homeowners insurance changes. We want to know if it's going up. Market is crazy right now, and homeowners insurance is one that's going up. You can control who your insurance agent is. You can't control your property taxes.
Right.
So don't be afraid to shop your homeowner's insurance and see what another company can do. It may be in your best benefit and will help with your payments.
Yeah, Tony, Chris brings up some really great points here, and I'll circle back. Usually, like if borrowers have these questions, they will reach out to their originator because that's who they have the relationship with. And I'm always happy to field these questions. I'll be at closing and I just remind people about their tax bills. Like, you're going to get this at the end of the year. Just a reminder, you don't need to do anything. We've got it. But it's like, but feel free to reach out to me in December when you get it. I'll remind you of that. But any of these other things that Chris has mentioned, any kind of insurance claim that you might have to make, any of those things, I'm happy to field those calls, because I especially know that Chris and his group, they want to take these calls from members because they can get complicated. So I love to connect them to the experts that get me out of the way. I know just enough to get you to the right people.
Right.
And really help. That's one of the biggest benefits, maybe the biggest benefit of local servicing, is having somebody that, like, if you need to go in, we're here, and just call. We're happy to help you through this, because like you said, Chris, this is potentially a 30-year commitment that we're making to each other. And so,
yeah, absolutely. And you're talking to somebody from Ultra if you're calling, if you're emailing, like you said, if you're stopping into one of our offices as well, all the way through. It's not going to some call center someplace or who knows where. It's right here at Ultra as well. And there's so many people to help through this. You can get more information also on our website at ultra.org as well. So that's we're just about at our time, and really appreciate both of you guys being here. Again, we're speaking with Chris Yount. He is a real estate post-closer too, and Alan Pruitt. He is a real estate loan originator at our Losey office here in La Crosse. Are there any questions that I haven't asked, or anything that we wanted to mention here at the end?
I just want to reiterate, Tony, this is a scary process. Some people can be uncomfortable. Some can be even embarrassed with some of the stuff. But don't be afraid to pick up the phone and call us, or come into the branch and just have that conversation. We want to make you feel comfortable, make this easy for you, because we're in that marriage. We're here for you, and we're local servicing. And it's not going anywhere. It's staying with us.
And then I think, for folks that are considering buying sometime in the future, it almost doesn't matter. Like, that could be 5 years, 2 years, 1 year, 6 months, whatever it is. The earlier you can reach out to start talking through that, it's one of the first things I ask people when they call in saying they want to set an appointment. I usually ask, what kind of timeline are you thinking? If you tell me that you're thinking next summer, then that will help me in how I prepare you for our first meeting. If you tell me I want to move now, that's a different conversation that we're going to have. But we talk about all these things because sometimes there's work that people need to do to get ready to buy a house. There are two things that anyone can do. You can always work on your credit, just keep paying bills on time, try to pay down credit card debt if you have that. Just give yourself the best chance and save money. I always tell people, save as much as you can. It doesn't mean we need to use it all. I would never advise somebody to use every penny to their name, but just give yourself some options. So as soon as you want to get in and start asking those questions, let's just talk and see, maybe your timeline is shorter than you think.
Yeah. And we've got a lot of great tools, like I said, on our website, or, mobile banking, and doing those, automatic transfers into savings and things like that. So a lot of different tools and strategies in that certificate that you mentioned for first-time home buyers as well. So again, appreciate you both being here and, simplifying and explaining a little bit more about this process of, purchasing a home. And taking some of the fear out of it, because the more that the less scary it is, and also know that you've got a lot of help here at Ultra every step of the way as well. So appreciate it. Thank you so much, and you guys have a fantastic day. Really appreciate you being on the Live Life Better Money series.
Yeah. Thanks, Tony. Thanks, Chris.
Absolutely. Yep. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.